I first came to A&M, we were barely a department. We'd been in existence as a separate department for 2 years. We had proposed a master's program, hadn't been accepted yet. We had no idea. We knew we wanted to develop a doctoral program eventually, but we had no idea when, how that would happen. The incredible thing about that period of time is that within 10 years, we had one of the top 10 programs in the country. And that's not possible. Academia just does not move that quickly. You can't get a menu changed in a dining hall in 10 years, much less create a good department, excellent department that's one of the best in the country.
I think one of the more unique aspects of our department is the fact that we have these distinct areas that don't function as completely boundaried off from one another. That in fact there's a lot of flexibility for students and faculty to collaborate across the areas in ways that they find most productive. For some students that's going to be more productive than others. Some students are going to be in one area primarily. But unlike other institutions that I've been a part of, our department seems to encourage blending those boundaries more, and I think that makes us stand apart.
One of the real strengths of the Department of Communication at Texas A&M University is that it has really world-class faculty across a wide range of subdisciplines or subfields, however they're variously defined. To me, this is a real advantage for a student and for those of us on the faculty to have these people as our colleagues, because my own approach is always what's called theoretically pluralist. I don't think there's any one explanation of any communication process or event or phenomenon. There are lots of different causal factors in play, and the fact that we have people with different kinds of intellectual strengths, theoretical traditions, methodological approaches means that for any problem that you want to study, you can get a very, very rich, multifaceted way into understanding the problem.
When I got into graduate school, I knew right away that I wanted to work at a Research One institution. I wanted to work with graduate students. I wanted to toss ideas around. I wanted to be in an innovative setting. I enjoy the back and forth of ideas. And that's what graduate education is for me. It's a very classical notion of education where you sit down with an idea, you sit down with a book or a quotation, and you hash out what does it mean. Then you go out and you find historical documents. You delve into how a struggle happened in the past and what we can learn from that. So it is a combination of historical research, philosophical debate, and then simply conversations with people. So part of the joy I have as a teacher is the social experience, getting together with one or more really intelligent people and just hashing out what they think about an idea.
When I work with graduate students, my approach is always to say, what is this student's strengths? What are their interests? And how can I take them where they need to go? I'm not interested in having them do the work that I do. I'm interested in helping them to develop their own course, their own worldview, their own strand of research that will be unique and that will be valuable in terms of their own pursuit of their intellectual goals. One of the most recent projects that I worked on involved a student who wanted to understand how Twitter was being used by journalists to communicate with other journalists. And part of what she was interested in was which journalists were retweeting other journalists and developing an understanding of the networks that were emerging. We don't really have a good sense of how Twitter is being used to communicate stories, what stories are being communicated. She found some really interesting things, including that journalists, when they're on Twitter, are free of market pressures, and oftentimes they're making higher quality, more substantive, more issue-based comments and reporting different types of stories.
When I work with graduate students, what I like to do is first gauge their interests and then look at my interests and find a common ground. So we find that, let's say, one student is interested in health and death, actually, and I'm interested in media portrayals, and so we are collaborating on a project on death portrayals in the media. Another student is interested in digital media technologies, and since I'm interested in diversity, we're looking at Humans of New York and how it's impacting audiences. So these are some ways in which I work with grad students.
The way I see my relationship with graduate students and my mentoring role is I really want to foster well-rounded scholars. So for me, it's not just about research and publishing, but helping them understand their role as teachers, understand service opportunities, and how to be a really good departmental citizen.
So when it comes to mentoring, I think there's kind of two lines of thought. A lot of people, particularly in health, work with research teams, and so they have graduate students working with the team. And so these students may get a number of publications because they're part of the team. That's not my approach. Research teams are fine. I don't have them, but I do set up my classes to have students be able to get papers that could be developed further, that possibly could be a convention presentation or a research paper. My goal as a mentor is to get first authored papers by graduate students. And of the 12 papers I've co-authored with graduate students, only 2 of them have they not been the first author.
As a graduate mentor, I am pretty flexible. I like to help students where they are, but I would say generally I am not the person who offers direct orders. I try to work through problems with people. I enjoy brainstorming, I enjoy creative thinking, and I enjoy working together. I've had lots of experience working with graduate students. I have a published article with a graduate student that won an award a few years back. I'm working with another student right now on a piece about breastfeeding in the military, which we're pretty excited about. So the process of brainstorming, working through problems, and writing together.
So I think of the graduate student advisor relationship as one of collegiality, actually, and my favorite students are always those who can tell me that I'm wrong and show me that I need to be going in a new direction myself. So I think of that relationship as kind of arm in arm. What I can bring is deeper knowledge of the literature. I can bring knowledge of really systematic, rigorous work methods that will serve you no matter what substance you're following, and I can be an extremely critical reader of your writing. But it's up to the student to determine where he or she wants to go. I really encourage completely original conceptualizations and theorizations, original identifications of research problems, innovations in research methods, and so on.